if you want, I'll echo that. It was a thought, because I know what we've got for money, and I know there's some concerns about using up our Chapter 90. So I thought about it, and I come up with this plan that we're allowed to go into a lease agreement with Chapter 90 money. However, to do so, the state wants you to commit. In other words, put a project request in for the whole amount. And I'm just going to use a number of $150,000. That we would put a project request in, as we do like a road, $150,000, and when they approve it, that $150,000 gets earmarked for a loader. Then you can go into a lease to purchase, get your best interest rate, and your first annual payment would come out of that $150,000. So if the town found somewhere in the next upcoming years that they could make the next lease payment, and say we financially get on the right steps, and it looks like we could make the remainder of the lease payments, once the loader was paid for, and we only pull one lease payment out of that $150,000, we'll say it's $30,000, so now we have $120,000 left in that pocket after the first lease payment, and the loader's paid for. I write a letter to the state and release that money back into our Chapter 90 account. So you could use it like a savings account, checking account type thing. That's one option. Try to get the best interest rate on a lease to purchase. Actually, I asked Woodco to come tonight. He's their sales agent for this district, and he was going to look into lease to purchases through his company, Global, and find out what the best interest rate is. I believe he was saying somewhere around between 2 and 3.5% thereabouts. Perhaps our financial department could find a better rate. So that's one option. So if we go out and we get the loader lease to purchase and go that route, we make a payment out of Chapter 90, and then if the town can pick it up in year 14 or 15, okay. If not, you can pull the next lease out of it until the town's ready. At least you have an option to do it that way. And or, as you know, I'm talking with Virginia, and I'm not going to put you on the spot, but it was either that, forego any interest rates and take it directly out of Chapter 90 and pay it off. So there's really your two options at this point in time for the town of Templeton.
Any questions from the board, Pat?
You had down just the one loader for trade, but you mentioned something about an old Clark.
I did. I did talk to some of the vendors, well, actually all the vendors. I had mentioned that we had an old Clark, Michigan. It's an old 45C. It was purchased by the town of Templeton, assigned to the sewer treatment plant for many years until they got a new loader.
Right.
Currently, right now, it has some sort of a motor problem. Our mechanic seems to think it's either a connecting rod or a bearing. We haven't had the opportunity, the time to rip it down and find out what it is. There is a knock in the motor. We parked it at the highway barn. It was our third machine to load equipment when both loaders were out plowing. The best we got on any kind of an offer was $2,000 from one of the bidders. I don't think that's in the town's best interest to accept that offer. I believe we can get more than $2,000 for it for paperweight.
So what about just putting it out the bid? Are we using it at all, or?
It's not operating right now.
Yeah.
We can start it, but it knocks, makes a noise. So, you know, at this point, the town can surplus it.
Yeah.
We can talk about that in the future, what we want to do with it.
That's what I was just wondering if that trading price included both or not.
Yeah, in one bid, it did include both.
Yeah.
On the John Deere, you'll see that it did. Do you have a copy of all the bids?
I do.
I'm sorry. Okay, you do.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
$2,000.
John Deere offered $12,000 for a trade-in and $2,000 for the old Clark.
Right.
The other vendors were in a
Much higher.
$25,000 bracket for the L90, and they really weren't interested in the Clark, Michigan.
So the Volvo that you're recommending, the 165 is with the trade-in?
Is with the, as it's
written.
As it's written there.
But is it written correctly? Can that be, is that negotiable still? Or,
I thought you told me the other day that, okay.
It is, I want to make sure that this goes down correctly. Mr. Coordinator, I want to make sure that I say it correctly so that I'm not in any jeopardy.
Their bid is 165. That is their bid,
okay.
because that's what's on paper in front of you.
But they've offered another 20.
No, that's the JCB, that's entirely
No,
different.
no. You told me the other day they didn't get it down on the bid, but what they really meant to say when they gave it to you.
Okay, so I guess, I'll comment on it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I comment on that? Okay, I'm gonna comment on that. I just want to make sure that I was politically correct.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean,
Yeah,
Put no under the
I didn't
bus.
know it was a secret.
No, Tim, do you want to speak about this, or do you want me to go right into it?
If you'd like me, I can just reiterate something that where Buddy was going.
Come on up front, Tim, please.
My name's Tim Lenniger, I'm with Woodco Machinery. The bid that was submitted was $165,000. The wording on it was with trade at $165,000. Buddy has made the suggestion, you make that award tonight to Woodco Machinery, which we'd be more than happy to accept. Under the Massachusetts Chapter 30, Purchasing Laws, Chapter 30B, you can enter into negotiations with the most responsible, reliable bidder, and that would be Woodco Machinery at $165,000. And then you can negotiate a better pricing for the city and town. And if you are all aware or not aware, the price should have been written out without trade at $165,000. So that's exactly where we are right now, at $165,000 less the trade of $25,000. So your actual price is $140,000 for that machine. I just want to clear that. And through the Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30B, it is written that you can do this. And it's actually been done several times, not just myself, but others have done this as well. So I'll leave that to you. Anything else, buddy?
You said it well, Tim.
That's what we were looking for.
Thank you.
That's what Bud tried to say.
I wasn't trying to hide nothing for this board. I just want to be politically correct. I don't want to say something out of place. Get that? Politically, P-O.
Any other questions, comments, concerns? Yep. Oh, Charlie.
The current one that's in trouble, was that a leased vehicle to begin with, was it brand new or what?
It was purchased brand new. In 1997, it was bought brand new. Whether the town went,
Where did it go then? Did it go directly to you or to somebody else?
it went directly to the highway department. It was purchased for the highway department. Whether or not it was an outright purchase, Charlie, for that 98,000, or whether it was a lease to purchase, I don't recall back 97, but it was purchased for the highway department's use.
The only other question I got is that brand new, but you're talking about used ones, and now we got so many companies going out of business and stuff, why is it that they need to get paid off and you can buy one of them?
When we went out to bid, the bid was advertised for a new loader or used, under 1,000 hours.
Okay.
I put 1,000 hours on it because I didn't want to get a bid in here with a loader that had 3,000 or 4,000 hours on it, and the tires were worn out and other parts were starting to fail around that time. So I wanted to keep it fair. I figured 1,000 hours was a fair amount of hours on a loader from the private sector. And actually, there was no used loaders offered within the 4 bids that came in.
Pat?
But you talked about the bucket needs to be rebuilt. How did it get that way? Just the salt and stuff wearing it out, or?
Well, with the bucket, salt really doesn't affect the bucket other than cosmetic, it's wear.
Right, the bearings and the,
Well, no,
Bushings.
the The part that's worn out in the bucket itself is the bucket. The
Okay.
bucket, not the pins and bushings
Okay.
that attach the bucket, it's the metal itself. Typically, when you buy a loader, it comes with a, what they call a general purpose bucket.
Yeah.
It's not hardened steel. If you were loading rock, you'd spec a different bucket, so it's typically a bucket for loading dirt and some stone, not ledge, but some stone. Correct me, Tim, if I'm wrong, but, so it's, it's 15 years old, it's loaded a lot of material in its time, it's just paper thin.
Okay, just that, when we were talking a couple months ago, you and I, after the meeting that we talked about getting the bids, you said something about the bushings were worn out and it was gonna cost $3,500
Okay,
or something.
that's a different part of that package that I gave
Okay.
you. At the time when we talked about that, to be honest with you, I wasn't aware that the bucket was
So
paper
bad.
thin.
Yeah,
And I wasn't brought to that attention until the mechanic tried to repair a couple of holes and they turned bigger and
Okay.
bigger steel. So the other part of the bucket are the links, the linkage where the pins hook to the bucket to roll the bucket back and forth. Those links are worn out to the point where you just can't put a new bushing in it because it's so egg-shaped.
Yeah.
You'd have to buy the whole entire link. That's where the nearly $7,000 for parts come
okay.
for those links.
So that's gonna take care of that, though, if we get a bucket, if you were to go that route.
Right, that's
Okay.
correct. The 16,000 buys a bucket so that we're not,
All right, I see what
and
you're saying.
the parts and labor.
Thank you.
I got a couple questions.
Yes,
Are you ready?
All right,
All right, first of all, what kind of bucket were you pricing for the existing loader? What brand bucket was that?
Volvo?
Volvo, okay. There's an extra couple thousand for nothing. I have, number one, we go back to the town vote where everybody said no, period, okay? I just can't emphasize that enough. The voters said no on the town floor to do this. I don't believe in using Chapter 90 money that should be going towards the actual application of the roads and not buying equipment with it. I even have a bigger problem with the fact that our mechanic, with all due respect, I don't know you, and I'm sure I hear you're doing a great job. You're saying that loader's got 8,500 hours on it and it's ready to die. Do we want to be buying a $180,000 Volvo in its place if you're only going to get 8,000 hours out of the machine to begin with? Got a huge problem with that. You're downplaying a Volvo that's ready to die. We got 8,000 hours on it. 8,000. I got machines that have 15,000 hours on them right now, and they run perfect. 15,000, about twice the hours. So have those machines been maintained? Has the oil been changing them or whatnot? On that loader, has it had a regular service records?
Right here, Kurt.
I'm just asking the question, has it been serviced regularly? Don't do the main bear and scare with me.
Yeah.
And I'll give you an example. About 7 years ago, the town of Westminster had a loader for sale. I went down and paid $7,500 for that loader. It had a blown motor. I rebuilt the motor. I run it every day. I have a total of $12,500 invested in that loader, and it runs every single day. So, to me, it's pretty simple math. We're broke. You're saying for $17,000, we can probably get it back to snuff. Hell, I'll add an extra $80,000. Let's round it up to $25,000. Put all the new tin work, put the thing, rebuild it, what we already own, and put it back to work. We're not looking for resale value right now. I mean, let's just spend the money that we have, not the money that we might have. I have a hard time believing we may, who knows if we'll get Chapter 90 money next year, and whatever the number may be. I just can't believe it, and I know Woodco, I bought a lot of equipment from them. But you're talking, you just got done saying, and I couldn't believe I could keep my mouth shut that long without interrupting. You just got done downplaying, you downplayed to death a Volvo loader we have. But the best one to replace it is another Volvo. But we have 8,500 hours on it. 8,500 hours, that's like having 25,000 miles on your car. And you're saying the thing's crap? I think this board better think, I know you're not all equipment people,
Kurt,
but I've grown up around this stuff. At 8,500 hours, the mechanic's saying that we've taken the bottom out tomorrow. Well, I take my chances and put the few things we need to put on that loader and buy some time. And if we get 15,000 hours out of it, maybe we'll buy another Volvo.
but
You know, this is ridiculous. I can't believe we're even thinking of spending $140,000, $165,000 loader, and we're broke. just exactly what Julie said, we're spending money we don't even have. And we're gonna go buy a loader, we don't even have enough money to put damn fuel in it, never mind fix the roads, we're gonna take all the money that we have to patch what little bit of roads we have left in this town. I just, wrong direction, just bad, I should say wrong direction, the wrong time, the wrong time.
Okay, thank you. Do you,
Oh, I sure do.
real
First of
quick,
all, I want to set the record straight, Kurt, with you and everybody else in this room in TV land. Once again, I said it to you at another meeting. Town floor did not vote down the loader. You need to do your research a little bit better. Town floor voted for it unanimously to put it on the ballot. It failed at ballot. I told you that when...
It's the same thing, I'll tell you.
No, it's not.
The majority of the voters.
No, that's not what, you said town floor.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I'll take that out of the argument, right now.
First of all, I wanna say-
hey,
I got the floor, Kurt, thanks.
Let's not
Second of
fight.
all, I want to say this, Mr. Chair and the members of the board. Kurt used to be on the capital planning committee. He used to support buying equipment, and always said, I don't know, Bud, why you keep fixing up the old stuff? You gotta park it, didn't you say that, Kurt?
When we
You got-
had money
Hang on,
left.
I'm talking, you can
You
go
asked me a
ahead.
You asked him a
I
question.
answered, damn it.
You know, it's like, and I don't mean to get heated up about this, but I don't like those kind of comments when we had a capital planning committee that supported buying equipment, and who also supported buying it out of Chapter 90. Now he's singing a different song, he's not on that committee anymore, I guess. So, the mechanic didn't say that he was gonna tear the motor down tomorrow. You can't predict when the motor's gonna go. He's saying it's got 8,500 on it now. It may need to be dropped down and inspected, and that's how they do it. They take the pan down and look at it. Tim's sitting right here from CN Wood. I know he's not a mechanic, but he knows that. $8,500, I'm not saying that the motor and transmission are ready to fall out of the unit. It's everything else around it that's the problem. So, I just kinda wanna set the record straight on that. Right now, the machine is valued at $25,000. That's where my case was tonight. Do we wanna put another 16,000 into it? And/or more if we wanna do the panels and everything else? We can do all that if the board wants to do that. We can fix anything at the highway barn if you wanna put the money into it. How much more time can we get out of it? Can we double the amount of hours? Maybe, maybe not. I can't predict how the machine's gonna handle. I don't have very little faith in Volvo that it's gonna, that every 8,500 hours, we gotta buy a new machine. If it wasn't for the fact that all these other components were worn out, we wouldn't be here asking for a machine. So I'm confident, and I have enough confidence in Volvo that I wanna go with another Volvo. We have another 1997 Volvo that we don't have the kind of problems with it. It's got some rust on it, but those links didn't wear out. It's in good shape, that's the one I wanna keep. We'll probably get double the hours that we got on it. So this is an opportunity, this is what it's gonna cost to fix this one. Do we wanna put that kind of money into a loader that's worth $25,000?
Mr. Chairman,
That's my whole point.
Yes.
I have a couple of questions. How long is this bid good for?
60 to 90 days.
60 to 90 days, and it was when?
Last Wednesday.
Last Wednesday. So we're not even a month into the process. How long does it take, and how much time does it take to drop the oil pan down so you can look at the transmission, you can look at the oil and make some kind of a judgment call? How long does it take?
Well, it'll take a while because you're gonna pull the bottom out. Do it in a day, probably.
Is it possible to do that between now and our next selectmen meeting?
Personally, through the chair, personally, Julie, I don't think that step needs to be done right now. I mean, that would be a costly, timely thing to pull down and check right now. We're not having a problem with the engine. I never indicated at any time that we're having a
The
problem.
way I said it could happen in the future after putting all the money into the machine.
And I believe that's the way he said it.
And
Right,
further
I'm
down the
just-
road, it could be something else. Could be the transmission went in it,
Right,
Well-
you know,
hydraulic pump.
right, it could be anything, I know.
Right.
Anything can break in the future, that's all Bob was trying to, present it. It's got 8,500 hours on it. It could start breaking down. Do I have faith in Volvo? I absolutely do. I think the motor and transmission drivetrain is a great unit. We haven't had no problems with none of it. No brake problems, no nothing like that. So that part, I don't think we need to take that step. And we didn't come in here trying to imply that the motor's ready to burn, to blow up.
Right. I'm trying to make a decision
That's just my stuff.
based on the fact that we are broke. We have a very uncertain future. And the reason why we got broke is because we were doing things like this. That's what got us into this position financially, all right? It's like taking your overdrawn credit card and putting it, you're transferring your new balance onto another
No,
one.
that's Jason.
Yeah.
All right, it doesn't solve the problem. And we need to start solving those problems. I'm not looking at $16,000, $17,000, $18,000 to put into that old loader, okay, to increase its value. I would be looking at making that kind of commitment monetarily to an old piece of equipment with 8,500 hours on it to try to buy 2 years of time. That's my goal. If that's the way the board votes or if that's what happens. I'm trying to buy time. I'm not trying to increase its value. I understand that it's only worth 25 grand right now. But if we had no loader, it's worth something.
That's
And
true.
we
I'd
do
like-
have it.
Just like the comment, because I think.
Actually, Charlie had a
I
question.
thought we just said a few minutes ago here that we got a loader sitting somewhere that's knocking.
It's a different loader.
Yeah.
It's an old loader.
Well, we're broke. Why aren't we moving on?
I agree, that's why I came in with this solution tonight.
Yeah, but dumping don't fix us the problem.
This-
We got so many problems in town that have not been correctly fixed. So how are we gonna keep moving on, going month after month, year after year, sitting here and going through the same thing year in and year out? It's time to stop fighting and move on, people. Period.
Well, I'm not trying to fight, but I'm just trying to present the case. I know we're not in the court of law, but if we fix the loader, the money needed to fix that loader is gonna come out of taxation, and I don't know where it's gonna come out of. It's gonna either come out of the maintenance budget, which was, is not very large to begin with. We're still maintaining all the other old fleet. The money for the loader would come out of our chapter 90, and it wouldn't affect us,
But you
our
can't,
tax rate.
you can't repair vehicles out of there.
No, I can't take the money out of chapter 90 to fix this loader. So the purchase of buying a loader would just give us a step up, and that's one piece that we wouldn't have to take out of taxation in year 14 or 15, so that was my solution. I mean, other towns all around us use their chapter 90 from time to time to buy road rebuilding equipment. We're not the first town, it's not, and this isn't the first time we've had to do it. We've bought other things in the past out of our chapter 90. So I think it's, with the price that came in, that Woodco is offering us right now, in the beginning, when I first started talking about this, I gave you the budget number that Tim had told me, and that was 170,000. Well, from that budget number to what the actual intent was is 140,000. That is a substantial savings, and it finally puts the highway department, back on the face a little bit about, everything we got is old, rotten, and broken down. We got one mechanic that's trying to maintain it all.
We've got the same problem with the police department, the fire department, and everything else.
All right, I'll take any kind of motion anybody wants to make. If anybody wants to make one, or if you want to,
I don't think we have enough information.
what you want to know?
Well, he was gonna find out from Jane why the $130,000 isn't notated on there.
Just not.
Okay,
But,
whatever.
I think if you want to wait and, we've been discussing this for almost an hour now, and we have to do something.
Yeah, well, they finished phase 4 and we
Come up
would
with
know-
no figures for next meeting.
and we would know how much exactly we're gonna spend out of that amount we committed.
Virginia, I gave you some insurance policy, I put 85,000, it ain't gonna cost 85,000, so you're gonna have more in there, just to recap that.
Need a minute.
If you were to do the lease to own, what would you be looking at year-wise? Have you figured that out?
Well, I think we usually do that.
Oh. Well, if it was coming out of Chapter 90, I mean, I would have hoped you would have done some research.
No, Mr. Chair, I didn't go through the process of finding out exactly what the lease purchase would, because it would depend on the interest rate, but you could safely say it would be approximately $30,000, give or take one way or the other. Tim, am I somewhere in the
We're in
ballpark?
the ballpark,
5 years?
5 or 6?
5 year.
5 years.
Virginia?
I agree that the equipment is not in good shape, and ordinarily, the best thing to do would be to go for the new one, but we don't have the money. We've committed a lot of the other money already. We're committing ourselves right up to our ears, and so my motion right now would have to be to fix the old equipment.
And that comes out of what, just your expense, or?
I don't know, if you guys, where do you want to get the money?
Well, maintenance expense line.
Town vehicle maintenance expense was budgeted at 94,600. I don't know what it has now.
Is
I don't have a budget to
Oh,
actual.
you don't have a budget to actual?
Is there one out?
No.
I don't have that with me tonight, I didn't expect it right
Well, that's my motion.
Okay.
And I will second that motion.
Okay.
I know you need equipment. And we've had this conversation before, and I understand where you're coming from totally. But I also have to look at our finances for the town. And we didn't get here overnight. And it's actions like this that I believe got us to where we are now financially. And we have to make tougher decisions, and this is a tough decision.
It is a tough decision, and I understand and respect your votes. However, I think that the reason why we are where we are today is because we've taken good town money and put it into bad. We did it with 252, and I'm not afraid to say it, and we're looking to take $16,000 and put it into a 15-year-old loader that's only worth $25,000. That's putting good money into bad, looking at it from that angle. Whatever your vote is, we'll do whatever you want.
I'm just
It's my
trying
job to
find
come in
time.
here and present my recommendation, and my recommendation is as it stands.
Just before we vote, I'm just gonna say, I would like to, I don't know if we can even do this, but I would like to see if they could negotiate with Woodco to see, you know, how low a price we can get. And then, you know, go from there, but that's, you guys made the motion, so we're voting on that. I just wanted to state that. So, any other discussion?
I'd just like to add a little bit to it.
Sure.
About the equipment that we are running or trying to run in the highway department. Everybody knows it's in dire shape. It's getting better, but it is in the shape that it's in. That's never gonna change. And we could wake up tomorrow with more problems than we have today. That's probably inevitable. What we are trying to do is put the money in the most needed repairs to keep the fleet going, which we pulled them out of the gutter a few times and made them usable again. Actually good, usable shape. It takes time, but it also takes a dollar figure in that account that you're talking about, getting money out of to fix the loader up with. That account's gonna get sucked up quick if we start drawing it out of there to do the loader and this and that, you're gonna be, not just a fuel account, you're gonna be a maintenance account's gonna go low, which has already been chopped up pretty good, I think. It's all gonna come to a head. We'll be where we don't wanna be.
Yep, I understand completely. I've seen the equipment.
One over here.
Yes, Diane?
There's no doubt that the equipment is needed, and I understand why you're leaning the way you are, and I have to agree with you, although I really understand where Bud's coming from. But you're talking about overspending a line item that the money's not there. And if you fix this loader, what are you gonna do about the other vehicles that are out there in the town when one of those break down?
What are you gonna do about that fuel account?
Well, that's a whole separate. This has nothing to do with fuel. Kirk?
Just one more thing.
Only if you're gonna be nice.
I'm gonna be nice. I just wanna go on the record saying, I'm not anti-Bud. I mean, the guy's made chicken soup out of chicken shit way too long. But I'll tell you, it's strictly a dollars and cents, hardball decision. It has to be that way. We don't have the money, and I think everybody in this room can agree, that's the way you run your households these days too. You have to carry it to the business world, and that's what a town is. It's a multi-million-dollar business. And damn it, if we don't have the money to operate, we need to just make do with what we have, and that's strictly what it is. I mean, I commend Bud for everything they do up there, all these guys, but it's small steps. The whole town has to take small steps. We can't fix everything overnight, and this is one of the things we can't fix overnight, but we can at least put in what we can put in to keep them moving, so, thank you.
And that's why I came in tonight to look to take it out of chapter 90 and not the town's pocketbook. So that, number one, we could get a little step up in all the other programs and vehicles and needs that the town has. You know, fixing this loader and waiting another year or two to see if we could get a loader. You know, I mean, I attend the meetings, you've got a school coming up, you got cruises that want to be done, you got a new town building, you want to get out of here. I mean, when does the money come back to the highway department? And when would we have the opportunity of this kind of a deal right now? I mean, this is a substantial savings, and it's not gonna hurt the town. It's our, you know, it's our chapter 90 money. I mean, and we could go into that other option I talked about, commit the money, let's take the first year lease out of it, and then perhaps next year, you know, if we can find town money to make the second year lease, we can release that money, you know, if it looks like we're on a better, but at least it's an immediate fix for today. That's all I'll say tonight.
Well, twice in that same dissertation, you said that you take it out of chapter 90 money so it doesn't hurt the town. However, when we take all of this money out of chapter 90 money, we don't fix the roads either.
South Road.
And we've got a couple of roads that are in really, really bad shape. So, you know, some way you have to weigh that in with the whole equation.
Each year we've done road rebuilding programs. This particular here, Back Bay was the program that was getting done.
Right.
So, you know, 3 streets over there got done this year. Each year we've been doing a little street. So we have used chapter 90 for road rebuilding, along with the grant money that came in. The grant money was for really the infrastructure underneath and so we have done some road programs and whatnot. And yes, there are some roads to be finished in this town. But we're looking at, that same loader plows all of Ballinville Center area, Back Bay area. That's the loader that plows down there. So when it fails or it can't get an inspection sticker and or for all of those other reasons, Virginia, what do we plow with?
I hear you, but
It takes longer to get everything done. That's what happens.
So,
All right, so the motion has been made to, did you give a dollar amount?
you know, and, you want me to?
Well, it's right here.
Amend the motion to include a commitment of, what, up to $17,000?
Yeah, it should be taken out of
Vehicle
town
maintenance.
vehicle
Taken out
maintenance
of town vehicle maintenance
expense account.
expense account.
What about tires and the metal work that has to be done?
That's right.
You're forgetting all about that.
You don't retire.
Tires are fine, 50%.
Yeah, but the metal work has to be done before.
They're gonna replace the bucket. Oh, you talk about the engine columns?
Doors
You
and the
Yeah,
panels.
stick it
can take it out of the $1,300.
wiring up there, we can sell
Take it out of the what?
Mechanics hourly wage, I mean, he's already there anyways, right?
Yeah, we pay the mechanic anyways. We did put a labor thing in here, just so that you know.
That's all right, so you got a little
So you got
bumper.
some money right there for your engine
No,
columns.
that's the total cost.
That might buy you one. But
We can repair something, I don't know. I haven't looked at it, but I'm just-
What's that? Amended to 18.
Okay. All right, so,
well,
go ahead. I thought you were gonna say that.
well, no. Well, I just want to set the you don't really have to take a vote on taking it out of which account. I mean, all you got to do is say, Bud, we want you to fix the loader, repair the loader out of your account. You don't really have to take it. That's my account. I've already have an account, so if you just directed me to fix the loader and just take it out of the machinery maintenance, save yourself a
That's why I
vote.
didn't put in a amount to begin with. He's gonna fix it out of his own account.
So the motion is on the floor to fix the current loader instead of, and not purchase a new one at this time. It's been seconded. We've had discussion, so now we're gonna
I
have a
think,
vote.
well, the 18,000 is now in that motion, so I think the idea was that we want to put some kind of a cap on how much we're putting into the machinery, that's all. I guess.
I think
Or do we want to take the amount of money out?
Yeah.
I mean, my goods.
Yeah, you got it.
Right.
I think
However,
Get things.
All right,
What are you?
all right.
we don't need the amount, I guess.
All right, then I will re-amend the motion
if this is the direction,
I just want
to its
to,
original.
certainly.
if this is the board's wish tonight to repair the old loader, then I would ask the board, and it's not on the agenda, to reject all bids at this point in time.
Okay. Well, we'll do this motion first and see how it goes. All right, so, the motion to have Bud repair at the L70 loader, Julie,
Yes.
Virginia,
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
So, there's 3 yes votes.
Okay, thank you.
So now I'll take a vote to reject all bids for the new loader.
So moved.
Second.
And I'll retract this.
Thank you.
Julie,
Yes.
Virginia,
Yes.
Pat?
Yes.
All right, sorry.
It's all right. I respect the board's vote.
Okay, Will Spring is not here, he is sick tonight, so his discussion won't be coming up.
Mary's here.
I don't think this was Will's thing, so.
Just thought I'd offer her up.
He called Jeff.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, thank you very much for
Yeah.
letting me address if
Good
there's
to
any
meet you.
other issues that forthcoming.
Okay,
Thank
I'm always in the area.
thanks for coming.
2 years.
So, old business, discuss changes to proposed Board of Selectmen policies and procedures. I guess somebody had some changes they wanted to do.
Oh, go ahead, no.
Oh, yeah, I guess you both had some, so.
No, go ahead.
We've talked about this a couple of times.
Yep.
And I keep getting the same version.
I know, I don't get the electronic version either, so.
It is.
This is the electronic version? All right.
But the point is, we can't get it off of our computer, so we can't work on it.
Okay, all right. So,
Why don't we simply say, mark it up and send it to me, and we'll, okay, and we'll make
send
the
it to
changes.
Kate. Okay,
We'll make the changes.
Okay.
thank you.
And make them like in red so we know what the changes are.
All right.
Okay.
So is that it for that?
Yeah, I was just like,
We just, okay, I
Yeah.
gotcha. That was easy.
all right,
All right,
now I have 6 copies of that.
action on a streetlight request. This comes from, will you just read it?
Yeah.
Okay. This comes
No,
from.
wait a minute.
Oh,
You really should,
oh, okay,
okay? Just
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
She's
okay.
right.
Yep, I gotcha.
All right. Secret? No.
Well, no, it's something that is in the writing, so. But we can say where it is, right?
Yeah.
The streetlight, I'm assuming it's off. It's one we've turned off and they just want to turn back on. 51 Cross Road. It's very dark in that area. They don't have any streetlights at all. And they are looking to get that one turned back on.
I think we had another request
Yeah.
earlier this year.
Can I speak?
Yeah,
You did a while back, and I
And we
think it was
refused.
determined that there are those, it's $4 a month.
Yeah.
There are a lot of us who have to pay for
Mine is
it
five.
in front of the, it's five, yeah, it's four
Yeah.
something, five. There's a lot of us who got our lights shut off years ago. There's a lot of us that pay for our own on the end of a dead-end street. I know Virginia
Yep.
pays for, I think back it was one on Fisher Street, somebody requested and the board voted that,
yeah.
you know,
Fessenden, I think, actually.
yeah, or was one, it was something back day.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, you know, that's, I mean, you got, you know, because you do it for one, you're gonna have all of us coming forward saying, hey, you know, pay for all of ours, because, you know, you just have to suck it up and do it if you want to be able to see on your street when you get home from work.
We have to bring it up and discuss it and
No, I
then.
know, I'm just telling you.
Well, oh, I know, I was there at that
My
meeting.
opinion.
Is it at an intersection, or is it just on the road?
It just says 51 Crosswalk, doesn't say anything about an intersection. Be like the intersection of Hubbardston and Cross, I don't think so, I think it's further down. So, it's light plant pole number 5. So,
Yeah, it's like 24,000.
so, and what do they charge? $5?
$5 I pay every month.
You have a big smile on your weekend. You have a big spot. My mother pays $4 for hers. She's just a regular.
So I guess we have to find out what kind of light it is. It's either 4 or 5. So I guess the motion I'd be looking for is to send this person a letter saying, you know, that if they'll want to pay to have it on, they can, but, you know, we can't start a precedent by saying that we can turn lights on at this point in time. Because Sue's right, everybody will be coming
Yeah, I know.
in to get their lights on.
I think what we used to do is keep all the requests and then once a year, like in January, because we're a year behind every year paying this bill.
So, Jeff, did you want to say
Just a
something?
point of information, the street lighting expense in this year's bare bones town budget is $26,679. That's a lot of money for publicly provided street lighting. I'm not from here, so you're welcome to take shots when I say that I've been in other towns where they turned the lights off. What do I mean by off? I mean, every single light was turned off, and public safety, usually police and fire chief, went through and decided which 22 or 37 lights in the entire town got turned on at an intersection where there was a critical life safety risk, at a bend in a road, a blind alley, etc. And otherwise, the town is dark. And I've seen towns cut $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 out of their budgets by doing this. Thank you.
Chris,
Yes.
I don't understand why we gotta pay for all them lights anyways, we own that light company. We're shareholders of that light company, why do we have to pay for all them lights
Here
ourselves?
and the intersection is up here.
Why do we pay that business, we own that company, nobody speaks up to that. What are they gonna do with that extra money?
It's a little further up from the intersection.
It's not even near the house, it's near the other side.
Right.
Nobody can answer. Even the one on the end, she ain't gonna answer.
I distracted him because I showed him where the intersection,
Sorry,
It's
he was
further
showing me,
down
she was showing me
Crossroad.
where the light was. So,
Say it again, Pete.
no, I heard what he said. You wanted to know why? Because we have our own light company, and I heard him.
Does the town get a discounted rate for a charge for
I have
lights?
no idea.
I'll check up on that.
That the $4 a
It ought
month
to
would
be
be on
a
the ticket, on the lights,
Change
on
off
the
of your
extra?
taxes.
Well,
Get your light
the
bill,
light
$4 a
company
month, on
gives
the
us
top of your bill.
money,
Yeah.
What's that for?
no taxes.
All right, so I'm still looking for a motion to send this letter.
All the lights.
so moved.
You're probably
Do I have a second? Okay, Pat second. So, any other discussion? Pat? Virginia? Julie?
Yes.
will be sent.
Report on Verizon poles and wires, tax litigation. Who's gonna explain this?
I'll explain this, Mr. Chairman.
I thought Sue was.
Hello, Sue?
Go ahead.
Verizon tax litigation, just because the assessor's here. This is informational and important to understand that a large tax issue is making its way through the appellate tax board and the courts of the Commonwealth. The Verizon is the owner of poles and wires in public ways throughout the entire eastern half of the Commonwealth, including the town of Templeton.
Can I just add
Yes.
that they own part of the poles because the municipal light department owns the other half of them or something?
We don't.
Yeah, so we kind of share.
Well, usually the pole, actually our light department does install poles, I've seen them doing
Yeah.
that, but Verizon typically plants the pole, puts the wires on it, and you lease the space, but you're right, some of them
Yeah, I
are
know
co-owned.
there's
It's
a,
co-ownership.
I was gonna say it's a co-ownership thing, because if you,
I think we
if you
all
do,
to watch.
if you do have a kid that drives into one, you have to pay the light
Yeah.
and water department, not the Verizon.
In any event, we were allowed to tax this property
Pay car payments.
beginning in 2006, I believe, or 2007. And Verizon challenged this statewide tax and has had some success in district court. There is a law firm, you have a copy of it in your booklet. I'm certain they are on a contingency fee basis, but they've caused this rather threatening letter to be sent to about 85 cities and towns in eastern Massachusetts saying, warning us, that a district court finding has been made and that there is now a liability to this town for the taxes that we collected, which would have to be abated and rebated, if you will, to Verizon. Please pay up. Now, this has, and maybe Sue can help, this has caused a firestorm of controversy and discussion among town managers, assessors, treasurers throughout eastern Massachusetts. The emails are pouring in. The fact of the matter is that the Massachusetts Appellate Tax Board will hear this appeal on October the 9th. They will make a decision on it, a timely decision thereafter, which will probably be around the middle of October. That decision, I guarantee you, no matter who loses, is going to wind up going to the state Supreme Court, because there's a lot of money at stake here. And this is just an advisory to be aware that in a worst-case scenario, and we and the other 85 cities and towns lose, the net tax liability to Templeton as we speak is about $38,000 that we would have to essentially abate and ultimately rebate to,
At 8% interest.
yes, to Verizon. Somewhere, maybe next year, it might be on the 14 tax roll as opposed to the 13 tax roll. It might even be 15 if this gets tied up. But it's a liability worth knowing. It's a big issue that townspeople ought to be aware of, because you won't hear about this publicly. It's not the kind of thing that they put in the newspapers. It's a municipal government food fight behind the scenes, and we'll keep you posted.
Can I add
Yep.
a little bit to this? Okay, our poles and wires are valued by the Commissioner of Revenue. So this isn't anything that was done in town. The Commissioner of Revenue every year puts a thing online, Templeton, this is what you are to assess Verizon. And that's what we did. In 2009, they started taxing these poles and wires on public ways, which they didn't any previous year. So we're not subject to anything for any previous year. And in 2010, it became Mass General Law, so forward, we should be okay. This is money, we have roughly $29,900 in our overlay account. And this was one reason that my assessors were always adamant about raising and not using the overlay money for my reval. But every time we tried to go with a warrant article to town meeting, trying to get our 1/3, 1/3, 1/3 over the 3 years prior to a reval, we were always shot down. And Scott always insisted on taking it out of the overlay. This is a reason why my assessors didn't want to ever do that. And now it's coming back to bite us in the butt, because we did have to take our reval money this year out of the overlay. Otherwise, this money would still be in there. And that I just want to call you. So we do have 29,900 sitting in the overlay. But then you have to keep in mind that if we end up using that, you're gonna have to fund my overlay. And while we're on the problem of finances in town, I just want to add something. When Bud brought up 252, I remembered we have surplus land, we have land, we have 5 parcels that were taken for tax title, that we should get out there, put an ad in the paper, take some sealed bids on them, because of those 5, I believe 4 of them are building lots, and I don't care, we would still get some money for them. And to think about that, and to also please, when you're doing the budget, and seeing as I have members of the advisory board sitting in front of me here, to remember that the tax collector and the treasurer, in the past, just like the assessors, their budgets have always been cut. There's a lot of outstanding taxes in 11 and 12 and prior. And we need to give those departments. Carol Lee was telling me she's got about 60 people ready to go in to put tax title on their properties. A cost of $75 a property at the Registry of Deeds, that's $4,500. She doesn't have that in her budget, okay? The treasurer is allowed to go after tax titles, and we have some people in tax title that the minute she starts the proceedings, I can guarantee you, they will come forward and pay. And it's a shame that that's what it takes, but you know what? We need to give those 2 departments the support. And to keep in mind that as far as the treasurer goes, the tax title can be overspent. That account can be overspent and raised on the recap sheet. So I just want to add that, my 2 cents on that one side,
It's okay.
you know? Because that would be Bud's loader tonight.
Too bad he left.
All right. So is that it on that then for now, Jeff?
That's it for now.
Okay.
I'll report back maybe in a few months if I have anything material.
Okay. All right, the next thing on here is the
Well, they can charge you.
private use of vehicle mileage rate.
That's my request.
Yep.
Mr. Chairman,
Shoot.
very simple point of business, and I'll be looking for a motion at the end of this discussion. Every year in years past, the board, or from time to time, the Board of Selectmen has voted a specific value for the use of a private vehicle by a town employee on town business, going to a seminar, or if the police chief's vehicle's out of service and uses his private vehicle, or what have you. The current rate is, well, below the federally sponsored rate, whatever it is. Some people are charging off at 40 cents. I think some people are charging off at 50 cents. My recommendation to the town to make this simple, fair, and very transparent is simply to adopt the annually set federal rate for private use of public use of a private vehicle in town business. That rate is set every April by the Internal Revenue Service. It's what you get on your federal tax return as a deduction when you use your car for church business or whatever. If the board would make a motion, you'd never have to hear of this issue again, because it would reset automatically every April when the federal government sets that rate. I believe it's currently a .555, meaning 55.5 cents per mile. And they adjusted based on fuel, the cost of vehicles. It actually did come down once. It's been going up, but it actually came down. So that's my recommendation, just to avoid having this issue. And there's a lack of equity. Some people pay one rate, some people get paid another, some people don't get paid at all. So it'd be very simple.
Okay. Virginia?
Actually, she was
Okay.
first.
I guess there's some misconception out there, because I was told just today that if I used my vehicle to do business for the Board of Health, I wouldn't get reimbursed.
Can I answer that?
Yes.
Because you
You have a
have
town- you have
a
a town
department vehicle. You have, any department who has their own vehicle cannot get reimbursed for their personal vehicle. You're to use the town vehicle.
So the 3 days in November that I'm going to a seminar, Phil's gonna be without a vehicle.
You can share somebody else's.
It'll be
Okay,
fine.
all right.
Sorry. He'll use his own and put mileage in.
Yes, Virginia.
Yeah, I'd be happy to make that motion in a minute. However, I have a comment too. I would encourage town employees to do the same thing. I've been to 2 seminars and 2 districts, selectmen's meetings, and I've not charged for my mileage. If more people did that, I mean, I'm getting something out of this as well as the town, so I just figure at least I could put my mileage in for it, but, I mean, that's up to other people. At any rate, I will make a motion to use the accepted federal rate for mileage from now on.
So,
Any other discussion?
You ever had a breakdown who used all that money over the years, the travel expense accounts, Chris used to pay?
Sure, somebody must, but
Huh?
I don't have it.
Who used it all over the years? Where did it all go? You had quite a little money in there at one time.
All we know is what we've got now.
$3,000. Where did it all go? Who used it?
It's all zeroed out now, Pete. I wasn't
What do
here
you
when
mean,
it was
why is
paid.
it all zeroed out?
Because we took it out of the budget this year. We took it, the budget this year for mileage is
You had
zero.
for past years where that money went to, didn't
So are
you?
we gonna reimburse?
We can do an analysis for you.
Vehicle fuel.
We could if it was
Vehicle
necessary.
fuel, you could take it out of vehicle fuel.
Yeah, if we don't have any money, how is that?
It's expensive.
If there's no money in the
I went
account,
down to
why
get
are we
gas
even
for the
discussing
gas.
this?
Oh, because
They come out of their own budgets,
Out of their own budgets.
Oh, okay.
out of their own expense line as opposed to a central.
Can I just, while we're on this subject?
Yep.
You talked about in the past, you said that some people got reimbursed this, some people got reimbursed that, all this kind of thing. This was brought up to me by another employee that said, she was told long ago that she was not able to get reimbursed for any in-town trips. In other words, going over to 690 Patriots Road from Baldwinville, or vice versa. In the past, oh, where was I just going? Wow, just lost my whole train of thought, sorry. So I guess I said, is that correct? I mean, I'm sorry, to charge the town for the 4 miles between Baldwinville and 690 Patriots Road seems a little bit, petty, yeah, that's a good word. I mean, to me, I understand if, I'm in a department that doesn't have one, I have to go to Amherst for training or
Yep.
Boston or whatever, I understand that.
Yep.
You're talking about, but, trips to the post office, sorry, Kate.
We sort of got the little red buggy out.
Right, you now have the little red buggy, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't
I guess that was my
I don't
question is-
understand why people would put in mileage for something like
Okay.
that.
Around to your car, it's right out there.
To go to seminars or
Because I
things like
did
that.
mention to somebody in another department in my building that doesn't have their own vehicle that said, take our truck if you've got to go over there. Ask Phil. I'm sure he'll let you use his truck. And don't think it went over very big.
Well, I want to second what Virginia said. I think it's wise that those who are fortunate enough to be able to suck it up. I never bill mileage because it's not worth the hassle of keeping all the records. So,
So, pay the building inspector.
All right, so the motion's been made, was it seconded? Yeah, it was, Julie seconded it.
yeah,
So no other discussion?
he's got a line item.
Okay, Julie?
Office
Yes.
expense
Virginia?
budget.
Yes.
Pat? Yes. All right. Okay, I have a couple of announcements
Driving across the
for the 250th Anniversary Committee, the events that are coming up that they've asked us to relate to.
You didn't finish this yet?
What?
There's two
Yeah, it's
more.
right here, the gala.
No, there's
Is-
two more.
No, this is next. The gala.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
This is part of that.
I just skipped it.
Wow.
Hey, what?
I'm gonna go with actually in order. This Saturday night,